My Fitbit is fit broke.
Oh man, if you would have told me ahead of time, I would have come up with a bit for that.
After years of bumping this thing up against walls and falling down, as I tend to do, it finally cracked, and the screen is doing this weird 80s aesthetic, like glitchy, console type vibe. It's not good.
Yeah. So that sucks.
It does.
Is it something that you're gonna upgrade, or do you not really care?
Maybe not upgrade, because I'm still rocking the Fitbit Charge 2, and I think they're like up to 4 at this point. And at one point I tried one of the higher end ones, and it's too much, with the custom screens and all that stuff. I just want one that's going to track my heart rate, that's going to tell me how many steps I made and how many steps I have left in an hour to hit my goal, But oddly, the newer ones took out the feature to count your steps, or, set your goal for each hour.
Huh.
So you're just kind of guessing.
It's just daily.
Yeah, it's just your overall daily goal. Like before it was
so you'd have to check the app, basically.
Yeah. Well, you can check it on the watch, but it doesn't give you that, you need to do 250 steps per hour to hit your goal of 10,000 or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I don't think the Apple Watch does that either. Unless it's in a setting I haven't seen.
Yeah. I tried the Apple Watch briefly, but it didn't agree with me.
So I like it. I haven't worn it because we're in fucking quarantine. Even though I do work out and stuff, I don't want it to be I don't know. It just seems like too much. When I'm on the go, walking around in classes and shit, it's really nice. When I'm in the car getting directions and whatnot, but I run to school every once in a while or run errands. I don't, I'm not going out. So I haven't used it in a while, but yeah, it's nice. I don't regret buying it.
Sure.
But it's a question of do you want all of those things? Because it can be distracting.
A friend of mine uses it for tracking her sleep as well. And it's really good for that too. I like the old aesthetic of it because it used to have a happy little moon on there when you got enough sleep on the app.
Yeah.
But they took that away, and I'm kind of disappointed in that. But
yeah, I do like the layout and the way it feels. The app feels.
Yeah,
good.
What she had to upgrade, oddly enough, because her cat absconded with her Fitbit. And it was never seen again to this day. This is maybe a year and change ago. It's just gone.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
Because they're okay, all right, we both have Fitbits. We're going to keep each other honest. We're going to try to do this many steps a day. It's going to be great. We're going to get in shape. It's awesome. And then the cat said, nuh-uh. I get cuddles. Stop moving around. What's
your daily goal? Is it the 10,000?
It's the 10,000. And really, I'll be honest, the only time I really hit 10,000 in a day, especially being so sedentary now with the quarantine, the only time I would ever hit a good amount over 10,000 a day would be when I go to conventions. Yeah. That'd be perfect for that.
Yeah, when you go to when I go to classes and stuff and running around campus, I can hit that easily. But that's another thing too. I'm not I'm working out, but I'm not taking steps like that. Yeah. I'm around the house. So I'm this is just going to depress me. I don't want to wear this right now.
Yeah. Or sometimes I'll be running up and down the stairs just with laundry and whatnot, and it'll be oh, you're exercising. I'm no, I'm not. No. You calm that down right now.
I keep track of my exercising on a wall calendar like an 80-year-old.
Wow. Okay.
Write it down. I'm old as shit.
Whatever works. That's what matters.
Yeah. It's actually kind of nice because you see the week and you're look at all the things I did.
That's cool.
It works for writing too. I learned that from Jerry Seinfeld did that. He put an X on the calendar every day. He wrote jokes so that he tried to never break the chain.
Can you imagine doing that? Just sitting down and writing jokes?
Not a lot of comedians do that, and Jerry Seinfeld is one of those guys who's very committed to doing it, and he's it's a job. You have to do it. You have to sit down and you have to do the job. So he treated it like a job.
That's cool, and I'm glad that worked for him. I think like all red-blooded Americans, we've entertained the idea of, hey, I'm pretty amusing sometimes. What if I got into stand-up? And then it's like, well, I don't know how to write 10 minutes. I don't know how to do a bit. I don't know the proper joke technique. Even though, you see so much of it. You hear so much about the inside baseball of it all from people like Marin and back in the day, of course, and even that special they had on I think it was HBO when Seinfeld was sitting down with some other comedians just talking about it. You really get a glimpse inside of their process, but recreating that from your own standpoint is just so unique.
You have to fail a lot.
Right.
I think possibly more than any other medium, maybe acting. You have to fail so much. That's a part of the process.
Yeah, it seems like you have to be ready for that.
I mean, yeah, I've thought in the past, like, oh, stand-up is really cool, but I don't know. I enjoy, like, when we do a live show. Like, our live show was great. I want to do more of those in the future. I'd love to keep doing that.
Absolutely.
But stand-up is, like it is art. And I definitely, that thing that you're describing where, like, I could do stand-up or whatever, I'm like, no, man, that's fucking art. Like, I'm just, like, I watch them and I'm in awe of what they do.
Yeah, I think that applause that they earn when they get their live special or whatever on Netflix or whatever, it used to bug me when a comedian would come out and it's somebody that I haven't personally heard of, and it's just, I know that's my own thing. When they come out and they just get this thunderous applause, and it's like, who cares? Who are you? You haven't proven yourself to be funny yet. But it really is just a culmination of being on the road, being funny on Instagram, being funny on Twitter, getting a reputation for being a good writer on a sitcom or SNL or something like that.
Now that I would gladly do. Writing on a sitcom, like writing on a show like Parks and Rec would have been my dream job. Kind of thing, being a writer on something like that. That I would totally do, but because you're working with other people, it's different. I think that stand-up is a special kind of bravery that I'm like, I don't know about that for me.
Yeah, I'm. It's been on my mind a lot these past couple of days because I was watching that special that Netflix has been pushing lately. Sam J was a stand-up. She was a writer, or is a writer, on SNL. And
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, like, you know how Netflix does sometimes. They're just like, oh, you like stand-up? Well, you're going to love this.
We have 20 million specials.
Yeah. On a random Tuesday at noon, we're going to put this special out. And we're going to push notification to your phone to let you know, hey, stand-up lover, come check this out. This person that you've never heard of has a new stand-up special, but we think you'll like it. And sometimes they're right. Sometimes.
There are some comedians out there that are getting so angry. There's some comedians that you've never heard of are getting very angry that comedians you've never heard of are getting Netflix specials. Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is insane, the ego in that community.
Oh, yeah. You kind of have to have it, too.
Shit, too. Like, it can be anything. But, I was like, what? Like,
that movie.
What if you tried being happy for each other and then work on your own shit? Okay.
It doesn't work that way. Well, okay, if you're to believe what you see, just taking Seinfeld, for example, that movie that he did, Comedian, and just seeing how they interact with each other on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, it's like you are in a profession. The way that it comes across on screen is like you're in a profession where you just have such a disdain for everyone that is you're in your medium, basically, just on your level.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And, people try to put themselves in a good headspace, like Marin tries to psych himself up and tries to put his therapy lessons to practice to be a better person about that. But you can even tell sometimes if he's got somebody on his show and they have a really good bit, you can just kind of hear him seethe a little bit, like almost like, oh man, I wish I'd have thought of that, or how come I didn't hit that button,
Yeah. I understand that to a degree, but I just think I think I'm too soft for that environment. I don't think I can hang. I think it's and I think especially it's shifting, but that is a male environment. And, like, there's a lot of toxicity in that world.
Yeah.
And female comedians are speaking out about that and stuff. So I just don't know if I could, even though I get along with guys really well.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I want to deal with that shit.
No, for sure. And the women that do succeed and are successful in that medium, it seems like they have to have just an insane amount of support from some big brothers, basically, who surround them with just protection from all the other, like, scum bags and sleazeballs that are out there. And sometimes it doesn't even work that way. You just hear about it years later.
Yeah, and what's really sad, too, is I think that some of the guys who have taken that on, like Louis, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
There was just a picture posted the other day of Michelle Wolf, Louis, and Sarah Silverman. And I think I can't remember who the other, I think Tiffany Haddish was in it. And it was Sarah Silverman posted it. I'm going to find it so that I can say exactly who was in it, because I don't want to say she might have deleted it by now. But it was really disappointing.
Yeah.
And did she repost it without? Oh, she posted twice. Okay. So Sarah Silverman's in it, Dave Chappelle's in it, Tiffany Haddish. I'm literally just looking at faces right now who I recognize. Michelle Wolf is in this. So and they're with Louis.
Wow.
And that makes me think that and Sarah Silverman has talked about, like, I didn't have problems with Louis, because he was, like, fine with me and what, and she didn't completely discount what had happened.
Right.
What I think when you're describing that big brother thing, I think that there is a predator. I will protect this one. And then it becomes like a little bit of a Stockholm Syndrome type of deal where they're like, no, they're good because they protected me.
Yeah. I think it almost goes beyond Stockholm Syndrome. It's like a familial thing. Like, just growing up, you hear about your uncles doing something that's shady, but they're always buying you candy and always giving you rides to school and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, he may be rough to these people, but he's good to me, so I'm going to still, fuck with him.
Yeah, I think so. And that was an upsetting thing that I saw going around on Twitter, because she had posted on Instagram, and then people were like, what the fuck? Like, especially a lot of female comedians were like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why is this, some of the biggest comedians are still defending this dude, propping this dude up, working with this dude.
Man.
I don't think anything's going to truly take him down. The community has not rejected him yet.
That's
as long
true.
as that community, as long as these clubs, these other comedians still defend him, I don't think he's going anywhere.
And the edgy crowd is still going to champion him and try to get him uncanceled or whatever the fuck they call it. And, that's their prerogative. I mean, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. I was
upset because I like those comedians that we mentioned, that other than him, obviously.
Right.
So I'm like, why do you have to? I mean, we know Chappelle has said some shit that has been, he's been questioned for a while now. But it's Chappelle. Like,
right.
To my knowledge, he hasn't been accused of hurting anyone. He's just talking.
Yeah, and this is something that you and I have discussed at length previously, which is the nuance of how far you're going to push somebody away for certain things they've done or said. So there's a certain tolerance of things that, just different levels of tolerance as a human being that you just instinctually have. And you're going to tolerate this much, and then, when it gets to a point where you're like, I don't want to support this person anymore monetarily or with my attention, understandable. You push them away. You just make that uncoupling in your mind,
Yeah.
But
so it just sucks to see that. I can't imagine what it's like if you're in that community. As a fan, it just sucked to see that.
Yeah. And I mean, as a fan, you put so much of your time and energy into the work of somebody that you're a fan of, and you suddenly find out that they did something terrible.
Yeah.
And, it immediately you want to say, okay, yeah, you're done. I'm out of here. I'm not supporting you anymore. But there's still like a part of you that needs to uncouple from those memories.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We've talked about this before too, like the art and the artist and everything. I don't know if I care on that level about those things. It's more of just like I'm trying to evaluate the severity of things because we do get upset about a lot of shit nowadays.
That's true.
And I'm not saying people get canceled for I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying we do get upset over a lot of things, and we have to be critical of. Like, okay, this is bad. This is very, very bad, and this person should never work again. I would put Louis in that category because he was using his power to sexually harass women.
Right.
And assault women, really.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then I think there was verbal stuff as well. But, to me, I'm like, you're done. That's it. And we can get into like, okay, this guy made, like you talked about Chappelle made a joke and things like that, and you can get into the nuance of that. But if you're talking about harming people, fuck off. Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to learn. It's good to really just listen and discover what's going on in situations like that. Not necessarily Louis, because I mean what he did is unforgivable to me. Just on a personal level, like somebody that does that to another human being, somebody that traps another human being in a room like that and did what he does, I'm good. I don't want shit to do with it.
That's so psychotic. I can never get past how fucking weird that is.
Yeah.
Like I just can't fathom that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good because it's not a norm in your world. You know what I mean? It's just, that's a good problem to have, that you can't.
Yeah. I'm like, I've been alone in room with women all the time. I've never done that.
Nope.
Like non-consensual shit. What are you talking about? That's fucking crazy.
It's always fucked up when you're on like a forum or something, like on Reddit or something like that. And it's like, come on, we've all thought about it. Like, no, the fuck we haven't, dude. You're the only one.
No. Yeah. That's that guy that like says something like that and you're like, bitch, what?
No.
Like, you need therapy. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you got to talk to somebody, man. That's not cool at all. No, but there's a difference between being held accountable and trying to figure out the nuance of where you stand on certain things. Mm-hmm. It's a personal decision versus you just saying like, okay, I mean, it's all a personal decision, really. Come to think of it,
it is. Yeah.
You could say Louis is canceled.
You draw your lines.
Yeah, I mean, you can say Louis is canceled, and I'm still watching his show every day. But I'm not doing that, obviously, because I don't really care to anymore.
I also think you shouldn't care if you, Matt, were watching Louis' show, I should not care.
Well, see,
that's not my business.
Yeah, but that affects how you view me. Because if you see me as somebody who goes, no, fuck all that nonsense, I'm going to watch it, I don't care. Then you start to think, well, geez, if Matt's on board with that, maybe I don't want to be on board with Matt.
No. That's okay. Yeah. I agree with you. I've certainly done that with, decisions that other people have made where I'm like, I can't deal with you.
Yeah.
But I can't, I've also had to teach myself to go like, I can't control it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was mainly meaning.
Mm-hmm. I totally get you. I totally do. But yeah, it's like, hey, Sam Jones is watching Louis C.K. Oh, he shouldn't be allowed to do that. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. You do that, Sam Jones. I don't know why Sam Jones came to my mind. Well, I guess since he disappeared from Smallville, I'm still very curious about whatever happened.
Yeah, I think you're accusing Sam Jones of a thing that he's not doing, but okay.
Not even Sam Jones III. His grandfather, Sam Jones, the original Sam Jones.
The original Sam Jones.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man,
okay.
He's
probably
awful.
Dead.
Canceled. I'm canceled.
Yeah, definitely canceled.
Yeah.
My lord.
Yep. Just like after a 7-day trial period, I have self-canceled.
Oh my god.
Yep.
You're a ridiculous person.
I am. So, speaking of ridiculousness, we had a couple of conversations last week, and we didn't quite give them the nuance that they deserved. So
no. We got 2 comments in, and one is light and one is heavy. What do you want to get into first?
Let's go for the heavy one first, since we're kind of like in that vein right now anyway.
We are in that.
Okay.
I tried to copy it in here and it didn't come up right. So let me go into this was Denise reached out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Which as we've said in the past, it is easier for us to read that because we both have access to Instagram. So I am going to read this.
Okay.
Hey, you guys, I wanted to reach out to you about something you discussed on this week's podcast. This is not a criticism, but more of a heads up as how it might come across. I give you both the full benefit of the doubt that you approach this conversation meaning no harm at all. When discussing looting and rioting in the city, meaning Chicago, because that was what we were discussing at the time, Lex shared that her reaction to these stories is a reinforcement of her preference to live outside of a city or suburb, which on its own is a neutral statement. But as a response to looting and rioting due to continued systemic socioeconomical and racial inequality and higher policing in the cities, it comes off as classist and possibly racist. I'm not saying that is what the intended, but those statements are rooted in privilege, which was acknowledged but not explored further. Lex mentioned that it comes down to choice, which is something most of us do not have. Matt mentioned never having lived in a place that didn't share walls with someone else. That's the typical experience of someone living in a city, especially those of us in low-income areas. Mobility from the city to the suburbs to rural areas is unobtainable for so many. Now, do you say BIPOC or is it BIPOC, or how do you say that?
I've never pronounced that particular acronym out loud, so BIPOC we'll say for now. Okay,
BIPOC and people that have lower income, and being able to separate from protests, riots, and looting by not living where these things are happening is a privilege. Associating those experiences as a side effect of living in a city ignores the fact that people living in low-income areas of a major city tend to be BIPOC and are subject to higher policing, neighborhood disenfranchisement, and general systemic racism. Again, I do not pass judgment, and I certainly do not believe that was the intention, but I brought it up. I thought it was worth bringing up. These are important conversations and necessary and important, so I'm glad to hear them on your podcast.
Okay.
Denise.
We do tend to just get into conversation mode, almost like, and I'm very guilty of this, where I just talk and I almost forget that other folks are listening as well, and I'm just talking to my friend Lex.
I didn't go back and listen to it. I probably should have, but that's how we get into tangents so much that I didn't even think about the associations, like when this was brought up, when I read the letter. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I wasn't making these, we had just started talking about living in places, and then I was talking about the things that I've been thinking about, where you want to live and stuff, because I hate Florida. So, it was separate in my mind, but that doesn't excuse it. I wasn't acknowledging the full scope of things.
Right. We want to make sure to just, give proper note that looting and rioting due to continued I always want to say systematic, and that's, it just trips coming off of my tongue.
Wrong?
I don't know. We're going to look into that.
Systematic?
Systemic, socioeconomic, racial inequity, and a higher policing in the city. It comes off classist and possibly racist. So we obviously didn't mean it to come off that way. However, it is something that we acknowledge, and we're going to be more thoughtful of in the future.
Yeah. And I fully take the responsibility for this one. I do think that while the letter was talking to both of us, based off of what I know from what you said and what I said, I was the one fucking up on this one. By not thinking of that other perspective. Because your description was just like, this is what I've always lived in. And mine was like, like, whatever. Like, I was just kind of brushing it off. So
yeah, I mean, we get like that sometimes, but what I do enjoy about our conversations every week is that you'll call me out on stuff like that. I'll call you out on stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even last week when I was talking about the looting, I kind of made it a point to say, look, this is information I'm still digesting. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world right now. And honestly, my head was not in the right place for that conversation. So that was a little reckless of me as well. But I'll say this now that I've had a week to think about the looting and rioting and protesting in general and that sort of thing. I think it is important to draw a distinction when you describe these type of events, because what I do see taking place a lot in forums, on Reddit, that sort of thing, and I said I was staying away from that, but I obviously don't.
You did briefly touch on that as well last time.
I did, yes. But
no, it's okay. I just was reminding people.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you would hope that people can see the nuance in this sort of thing, but they lump everything together. They lump everyone together that stands in direct opposition of what they're comfortable with. And in a way, I do understand where these folks are coming from, because it's taking people out of their comfort zone. Like, for me, the protesting is something that, you know, I was raised by a large family, you know, and a lot of my family were involved with protesting over generations and just speaking up against what's wrong and that sort of thing. And they raised me to do that as well. But when it comes to rioting, when it comes to looting, you know, we generally stay away from that. So that's almost like alien to me in a way. But what I've heard discussed and what I've seen, you know, on the news when it's reported correctly, is that it comes from a place of frustration. You know, so while I don't participate, I have to understand that there are certain people that aren't as privileged as I am, that don't have a choice when it comes to getting what they need. You know, when people see the looting on TV, they say, oh, well, you know, you can't eat a Gucci bag. You know, well, fuck no, you can't eat a Gucci bag, but you can sell that Gucci bag on the train to get some food to feed your family or feed yourself. So I've never found a way.
I've tried to, like, use the arguments I've seen other people using that, like, it's just property, you know, X, Y, and Z, but, like, I've never been able to explain what you're describing, which is, like, trying to acknowledge the privilege of not being in that position.
Right.
And I've never gotten anyone to be able to listen to me on it. And maybe that's because, like, my own bias is doing the same thing you're doing, where you're like, I don't get it, but I'm not trying to judge it. I don't know, like, I don't know what the right word for that would be, but what you're describing, where you're like, I'm not participating in this, but, like, I understand why it's happening.
Yeah. It's
and
the
I've never
result.
been able to, like, explain that to another person properly.
Yeah.
To convince them that, like, this is why looting is happening right now, or this is why rioting is happening right now.
And that's why I feel like it's so important to listen, you know, because I didn't know how to explain this.
Like, protests are different, though. People, if you sit down and explain protests, I have found people will listen, but it's when you get into the more extreme that they just don't listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot more listening to do. You know, this is not my final statement on how I feel about things. This is just my ever evolving thought process of where I am now. Just observing and discovering how I feel, you know, in this unique time that we're going through. So,
I mean, based on our memory, or my memory of that conversation, I think it was mostly me. Like, I think it was 90 me and, like, maybe 10 you.
Well,
you know.
Both of our names are on this show. I'm not hanging you out to dry.
Oh, I know. I know you're not. I'm holding myself accountable for it. Well,
Right.
someone held me accountable, now I'm holding myself accountable for it. So
You're reholding yourself, yes.
yeah,
The old double hold. I know.
am acknowledging it with no one else getting credit.
Look at my growth.
You have like everyone messes up. So you just mess up and try to do better next time. And I appreciate being called out on something like called out. That sounds bad. Being held accountable for something. I appreciate being canceled. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the cancellation.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's the more heavier one, and yeah, we appreciate all feedback as long as you don't tell me I smell, because I work very hard on not doing that. But other than that,
that is a weird thing to bring up, and I feel like you got to work on some of your own personal stuff with that one to unpack.
Yeah.
I'm not getting to it.
That's another episode entirely. So, next message we heard from our friend Jonesy, and she was commenting on the what airline was that?
Emirates. It was Emirates.
Emirates, yeah. They were offering to cover some of the cost of the gamble you're taking by flying on an airplane unnecessarily.
Yes.
And one of the things they listed was €1,500 for a funeral, to which Jonesy said, FYI, €1,500 for a funeral is $1,768, aka not enough for a funeral. Also, so morbid. Couldn't agree more.
Morbid.
So
that is
very
not
morbid.
a lot of money. Not a lot. No.
So yeah, man, just getting put in the ground is so expensive. It's so just wow, man.
It is. I feel like Emirates should, with this particular situation, they should take your body and just chuck it off of their fancy plane.
Yeah,
just
just
over the ocean. It's like you're just fucking chucked into the ocean, and
just
that's it. That's how you go.
Put you in that blue gelatinous goo. The same kind that they use for the toilets. All natural,
All natural. Naked
and then
as the day you came in.
Yeah, and then just yeet you into the ocean. Just yeet, and you're gone.
Yes. Yeet you into the ocean. You're gone. You're with the fishes, literally.
Mm-hmm.
You're swimming with the fishes.
Burial at sea, on the house.
Cheap. Don't have to worry about spreading COVID unless whales get COVID, in which case we're fucked.
Oh no.
Yeah. One more way to kill the oceans.
Oh man, I'm sure someone has Googled that already.
Yeah.
Like,
that whale probably deserved it.
Yeah, he had it coming, that fucking liberal whale.
Yeah.
Out here protesting against shit. He's the
Always
one
showing
spreading.
people his blowhole. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man. No. Cover that
Is
up.
that whale named Louis?
Wow. Yeah, so.
You know what, guys? It's okay. I can say that because I don't sexually assault and harass women.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
True story.
I can vouch. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, I can vouch for that. How? But okay.
I am the Sarah Silverman to your Louis C.K. No, let's not even go there. So, AMC.
Yeah.
AMC's trying desperately to be relevant during this time when we don't need them at all. It's been proven since...
I'm sorry, the network? Or
No.
the movie?
The movie theater.
Okay.
AMC. American Movie Classics Theaters. No, that's not how that goes. AMC Movie Theaters.
I was drinking water when you said that. That was unfortunate.
Oh, no. Like, what? Do we even know what the AMC stands for in AMC Theaters? Like, I've never thought to ask that before now.
Oh, no. I just came up with a really bad acronym, so... Nope. All right.
We're going to come back. We're going to come back around to the acronym. But for now, let's talk about this.
It's always misstepping cum.
Given how much focus they're putting on cleaning these theaters, I would hope that's not the case. One would, knock on wood, let's hope that ain't the case.
Oh my god.
I know that they're trying to show like classic films and stuff like that, but if Magic Mike is showing and you encounter that situation, don't go to that theater anymore.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. Just don't do it.
Just don't. So, all right.
Okay, so what are they doing?
AMC is offering 15-cent tickets on the first day of reopening.
Okay.
So, in a world where we're in a world where we're trying to socially distance from one another. They decide to give like super discount tickets and try to cram as many motherfuckers in the theater as they can to see this imaginary New Mutants film that's coming out in a few days.
That film does not exist.
It doesn't fucking exist.
This is a fucking conspiracy, guys. I don't believe it. I'm not. No.
No, it's not happening.
You go there, it's just going to be 2 hours of that Rickroll video.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Maybe Maisie Williams Rickrolling you. Maybe they just reshot that, and that's
I'd watch
it.
That.
I would. That'd be entertaining. So anyway, AMC confirmed that the New Mutants will debut in theaters August 28th with Christopher Nolan's Tenet to follow September 3rd. Warner Brothers is planning to release Tenet a week earlier internationally because, they did things a little bit better than we did.
Yeah, they have their shit.
Yeah. And then there's some movie with Russell Crowe, and then the personal history of David Copperfield from Disney's Fox Searchlight.
Ew.
So not a lot of great stuff to choose from. I mean, out of all these films,
I want to see Tenet.
I do too. And I understand that, Christopher Nolan is big about seeing stuff on the big screen.
No, I want to see it on the big screen. I will not see it on the big screen, though. Oh. I don't understand why he couldn't wait until next year.
Well, I think it's more Warner Brothers can't wait until next year because they made all these fancy promises about how much money they were going to make to their stockholders, and they can't let them down. Yeah. So, I mean, Warner Brothers is really
Our whole world is built on a house of cards.
It's true.
Isn't that like the biggest thing you guys have taken away from this? Because that's the biggest thing I've taken away from this.
Guys,
it's just giant house of cards.
If I could teach you one thing that I've learned from Teen Titans Go, the wonderful show that comes on Cartoon Network, is that the gold standard does not exist anymore.
No.
Meaning that, the equivalent of gold that exists to each dollar in production, that's not a thing. Money is imaginary.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So, how many weed gummies have you had tonight?
Not as many as I should have.
Okay. Good to know.
Now, this isn't on our notes, but it's something that we were talking about earlier that I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit. Speaking of Teen Titans Go, Fandom is coming up on Saturday, which is a virtual convention for DC and Warner Brothers Media and all kind of other crap, to supplement.
Mostly DC, though, I think, right?
Mostly DC, but there's going to be some, gaming and all kind of other stuff. But, yeah, it's going to focus heavily on the comics and the superheroes and whatnot. So, it's all online, but a couple of things happened already that are putting a bad taste in people's mouth about this convention. First of all, there were massive layoffs at DC Comics not even a week ago.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the editorial staff was laid off. And some of these people, since most of Fandom has already been recorded, most of these people are going to be, quote unquote, in attendance at this convention talking about how great DC is. That's kind of fucked up.
That is super fucked up.
Yeah, you let them sing the praises about your company and how great it is to work there and how they're really taking care of you during this whole crisis, and then goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. The other thing too is the ongoing.
You made a crisis joke, so
that's
worth it.
Yeah. The other thing is the ongoing saga of the Snyder Cut and how bad a situation it was, how bad of a time the Justice League actors had filming this movie under the new regime once what's his face took over.
Whedon.
Yeah. So Jeff Johns, who is a big muckety muck at DC Comics, and he's big into their production. Yeah, it made me a little sad too because Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in the Justice League films. He basically said that his career was threatened by Jeff Johns, the man who is primarily responsible for a lot of great comics that you've read over the years at DC, is threatening this man's career because he doesn't want to fucking say booyah and shit like that. It's just messed up. So, Yeah. Jeff Johns, not the best guy. So unfortunately, he was the guy that wrote a lot of the Green Lantern books that I enjoyed back in the day. So
he's written a lot of really good books.
Yeah. I've been talking about how great that new DC show is, Stargirl. Mm-hmm. He's behind that character. He wrote part of that show. Yeah. So it feels icky. And then last but not least, what was the third thing that happened today? What was I telling you about?
You told me about the Jeff Johns thing because I messaged you. I was like, what happened to Jeff Johns?
What did he do? Oh, the other thing is that there have been allegations of harassment of female employees at Rockstar Games. And Rockstar Games, of course, is responsible for
Rockstar
the Batman.
Or Rocksteady?
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Rocksteady. I always get them confused.
Okay.
Rocksteady Games.
2 different companies.
Yes. Rocksteady is responsible for the Batman Arkham series. And, so they've got it.
Well, the only reason I caught that was because I know they're doing this new DC game.
Yeah, they're doing Suicide Squad versus Justice League. And it's supposed to be this big reveal happening at Fandom this weekend. And one of the lead writers of the game was in tears in this video talking about the harassment that she and other women working there faced during her time at the company. She tried to put a stop to it several times. She wrote letters to management, and nothing was done until it was going to be made public. And then finally they released a letter, saying that, hey, we're sorry and all that shit. And so she put something out saying, look, this is just platitudes, man. Fuck them. Because they knew about this for years and just let it continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to watch because the woman was talking about, this was her dream job and she always wanted to work on these characters. And, she grew up playing these games, these Batman games, and wanted to work with Rocksteady. And it just turned out like that.
Why do we keep hearing these fucking stories? And I don't know, what is wrong with guys? I don't get it. What is it the power specifically? Is it like just the societal upbringing that's fucked up? I don't know.
All of that. It's all of that shit.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Man. So, anyway, right now.
So yeah, not participating in that, I guess, is the moral of that.
Yeah. But the one thing that I am going to regret missing out on, because I'm not going to participate in that shit. The one thing I'm going to regret missing out on is that they had a 1-day website where you could tour Teen Titans Tower, the giant T from the cartoon. Aww. And there were different stuff going on in there. I love me some Cyborg.
You can go and do that, bud.
It feels weird. I'm good.
No, we're fine. We
personal
know
choice.
You're good. It is a personal choice, but no one's going to judge you if you do that. Yeah. Especially right now. Take joy where you can get it. Just go do the thing. You're not giving them money.
No, I'm not actually. No. But I'm giving them web traffic. I mean,
you are, but
it's such a small thing compared to what's going on, compared to the treatment they're giving their employees and their adjacent.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're also using your platform to call them out on their bullshit. So I don't know. I'm telling you to give yourself permission to do that. If it's a 1-day thing kind of deal, you can only access that. Just go do that thing. No one's gonna be mad at you for that.
Well, I appreciate the perspective.
You don't have to beat yourself up over that,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I appreciate the perspective on it. I'll give it some thought. But right now it's they can kick rocks with that shit. I'm not about to. Yeah. It was glorious. No, it's okay.
And I've always, whenever these types of things happen, I feel so bad for all of the people who are involved at DC, like the actors on the Arrowverse shows that we love. Yeah. And, they're all involved and they're very passionate about what they're doing. But then this shit happens and it kind of, Ray Fisher, like you were saying, he was excited to be involved in this and then he had his experience tainted by this bullshit.
Right.
That creator of the video game, she was dealing with the same shit. So, that it's sad.
It is sad, and let's hope that sort of thing ceases. I mean, it feels like we end every story like that when it comes to this sort of thing, and it's just fucked up.
It is, but I still think that it's good to address it. Like Denise was saying in that earlier subject, which is like, it's good that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
It just sucks that we can't offer any resolution. We can't fix everything.
Yep.
It's like, I know we're both that type of person where we're like, let's solve this shit. What can we do to help? And it's like, well, you can kind of help, but like, you can't solve it. At least not on your own.
That's right. Something I try to do when the conversations happen back and forth about the state of things in Chicago, and ultimately somebody throws out, hey, well, why don't they protest when, the black on black violence happens, or how come they aren't doing anything about these kids getting shot in the street? And you know what? They're right. It's fucked up. It's fucked up that kids are getting killed. Kids that have nothing to do with riots, looting, or, on the other side of the spectrum, gang violence, that sort of thing. When innocent kids get wrapped up in that, it's fucked up. And there are groups that are attempting to do something about that. One group that I like is My Block, My Hood, My City. I think I've discussed them on the show before. Jamal Cole, stand-up individual. Not saying that he's going like 1-to-1 versus these gang members, because, there are other ways to fight.
Yeah, that's not how you solve these issues.
Right, but what he does, him and his group, which is growing every day, they're going around and they're shoveling sidewalks in the winter. They're putting up holiday lights around the holidays on the south side and west side, communities that normally don't get that type of treatment from the city. Most recently, when we had that tornado, here's a dangling plot thread from last week that I never went back to. The fucking tornado that hit my neighborhood in Rogers Park. In fact,
that was your neighborhood?
Yeah, that was my neighborhood. I mean, it is my neighborhood, rather. So right now, I'm at the northern part. Did it solve
the black on black crime?
It did. Okay, for about 10 minutes or so.
Because I'm a white person, that's all I care about.
That's all you, boom, right? Done. Racism solved, black on black crimes done.
We solved that thing, so everything's fixed, and I don't have to do anything. Perfect.
You know what? I imagine that people who tout black on black crime just imagine everybody being led to a boat, like in The Dark Knight, in those orange jumpsuits, and just waiting for the Joker to blow them up.
See, I imagine that they just think of black people doing fight clubs. And, like, you don't talk about it. You don't say that you're in fight club, but there's just fight clubs.
Wake up, sheeple. Yeah. Fight clubs are happening all around you right now. Yeah. But the tornado, so we don't lose track of that again. Touchdown in my neighborhood. On my old block, all the trees, basically, on the block that I used to live on Steely, the trees were knocked down. Trees that have been there for decades, Cars smashed to bits. But the reason I bring it up now is because Jamal Cole and his people came out to help the neighborhood clean up.
Well, that's awesome.
So it's not even just limited to the south side. They come all over Chicago just to help people out of stuff like that. And it's admirable, and you can donate to them, and you can make sure that they continue their fight. So that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely. Also donate to them.
Yeah, there's also Mothers Against Senseless Killings. It started out as Mothers Against Senseless Killing, and then it evolved into Mothers and Men Against Senseless Killing. And this is a group of moms that were so tired of kids getting caught up in gang violence and not feeling safe walking home after school, that they would actually sit out on street corners and just like pass out snacks and stuff like that, and just make sure that there was nothing crazy going on, and just staying in contact with each other like a neighborhood watch,
Yeah.
Yeah. So they accept donations as well.
God bless those moms that look out for other kids.
Yeah.
Those moms were my favorite. As someone who did not have a good mom, those moms were the best.
Yeah. It's good to see. I mean, it's encouraging to see that there is love.
I mean, there are dads like that too, but like there's something about like the moms that stepped up and were like, this kid needs to eat.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids that unfortunately during a portion of my life I was not getting fed and stuff like that properly. So due to shit that I don't need to get into. But, and it was like friends' moms were like, "Do you want to stay for dinner?" and stuff like that. And like, I don't think they realize like, yeah, I do, because I'm gonna go home and like, I'm 10 years old. I'm gonna cook ramen for myself or whatever. Like, I don't have anything. Yeah. So that means a lot to a kid that
Definitely
doesn't have that. And I can't. I was never in that gang adjacent, ridiculous things or anything like that. But I did have situations of neglect and so when I hear about things like that, I'm like, those are the best people, like the best people that take in and look out for other kids, and other people in their neighborhood.
Growing up, my best friend's mom, she never said no when I asked to like stay over at their house or something like that, or just stay over for dinner, just because she knew I was a gentle child, and she knew that we lived in kind of not a gentle neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want me to get in any type of trouble or shenanigans, knowing that her house was a safe place. And I always appreciated that, always.
Yeah, so that's definitely the kind of environment I would want to create, with children and stuff like that, where I'm like, yeah, no, your friends are welcome here and they're cool and everything, like as long as you're, there's not trouble and shit like that. And in that case, we'll deal with it. I just like that type of environment.
Me too. I admire that tenacity in moms and women, just to not only take care of themselves and their own, but to put that nurturing outward too. Just like,
and I do think that we're seeing a new generation of men who, millennial men are, at least ones that I see, are stepping up and doing a lot of this stuff too, which I think is really cool.
We spoke about that last week a little bit too, just men being more confident with letting their emotions and that soft side show a little bit more. So I hope that's a trend that continues. Yeah.
So real quick, back to the tornado. Did you lose power? Did you
back to the tornado? Thankfully, I didn't. A lot of people around Chicago did lose power. There were some people that were without power until, because the tornado happened on a Monday. Uh-huh. And they didn't get their power restored until Saturday. Wow. Like, it wasn't the majority of people, but, with everybody working from home, I mean, that's like, how do you deal? You have no internet, you have no power, you're sick. You got to call in sick. There's nothing else you can do. That's
about the amount of time that I've experienced power outages from hurricanes, somewhere in that range. So, you learn to pack ice into your, cooler and everything like that. You prepare for your fridge to not work and to save all your food. You get lots of non-perishables. You charge up everything. Like, that's when I still have an iPod, but I still have an old school iPod that I charge that shit up. I'm like, I will listen to middle school music to survive this pandemic if I have to.
If anything, it takes you back to a happier time. So pandemic. You can just kind of...
hurricane, but, I know. Whatever. Yeah,
it's all interchangeable.
It's a shit show.
Yeah, the pandemic, hurricane, the hurricane and
pandemic. You just, you gather your books and your candles, and you just prepare to live like the olden days for a while. One thing that I did years ago, my dad, was we got a little projector. Ooh. And we threw a sheet up and we projected movies from the phone. It was fun.
That does sound fun. It
was hot as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
That's always the worst part. We had a brownout.
You can't drink water. Like you're on. You'd have to boil your water. Oh. So your water's not safe. So they have you fill up your bathtubs basically to have water reserve for toilet or anything like that. You do that before the storm, and then you buy your water in advance and stuff to make sure you're covered. I don't know how it works, but yeah.
We had a brownout a couple years ago over here. Just I guess a transformer exploded or something like that. Fucking Megatron, And we ended up just being without power for a whole night. But I was kind of putting together a bug out bag around that time anyway.
Uh-huh.
And so we had like 2 flashlight headbands, and we had like a blinking like leash for BMO and everything.
Yeah.
And then it was around the time that we first got the Switch, so we were just sitting there just like playing Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
For 2 or 3 hours or however long the battery lasted at that time, and just, made the best of it.
Yeah, the big things that you have to get, like I discussed, non-perishable, stuff like that. You got to get your medicines. You have to have a contingency plan if you have to have things refrigerated or whatever. Like, you just have to have that stuff in mind, and you have to know your flood zones and stuff like that, depending on where you live. Now, I don't have where I live doesn't have trees around it, but Ryan, where he lives, he has old oak trees, massive oak trees. So he has to have those inspected, basically, before season and then after storms. He has to have those inspected to make sure, because that is the danger. That is the real danger of that falling in on the house kind of situation. And if they're bad, he has to have them removed. Yeah. So, that's the... So you just have to know the situation. It's weird how casual stuff like that becomes to you. Mm-hmm. When you've lived in it for so long, where you're just like, fuck it. Like, I guess we're dealing with another storm. There's looking like 2 developing now or whatever. Last time I checked, I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
It's one more fucking thing.
Like when you and I started becoming closer friends, and I saw like some type of like weather pattern moving to you, I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, dude, it's fucking Florida. We do this all the time. You know who's really familiar?
Every year.
Yes. You know who's really familiar where their flood zones are? Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh my God. Yes, that is true.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. What?
All right, so let's talk about this. We got some more bad news. We got some more bad news for you. So it came to my attention yesterday.
Yeah.
And I rended my clothing in just sorrow when I heard this news. It just shook me to my core.
This is some Resnaculous news, isn't it?
This is, Resnaculous breaking news, headlines, special report.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Get Wolf Blitzer on the TV, because we're about to talk about it.
The Trix Rabbit has been assassinated.
The rabbit is down, ladies and gentlemen.
Just go into full Walter Cronkite mode. We are getting reports from Dallas. The Trix Rabbit has died.
Oh no. Has Mr. Peanut been informed yet? Is he baby nut or is he teen nut now?
He's not old enough to deal with the situation. He's still not old enough
to do it. Okay, yeah. But real deal, pepperoni. There's a pepperoni shortage in our country, ladies and gentlemen. This is the part where I remove my glasses in a serious fashion, just like
rub your temples.
Yeah. I know it's hard news to hear. It's important you hear from somebody soon. Your favorite pizza place may not have pepperoni available.
Yeah.
And it's because of the pandemic. This comes from USA Today. There's a new coronavirus pandemic shortage of the nation's most popular pizza topping. Small pizza shops across the nation are reporting higher prices for pepperoni, according to Bloomberg, which found a South Dakota shop is paying $4.12 a pound compared to $2.87 in January 2019. Emily, a New York City pizza shop, is paying $6 a pound, up from $4 earlier this year. Chef and co-owner Matthew Hyland told Bloomberg, "It's an American right to have a pepperoni on pizza."
What?
Hyland told Bloomberg, "Pepperoni is such a huge part of pizza, it's important to us that we keep it accessible." The small pizza restaurants said they weren't passing the higher costs along to customers at this time. According to Bloomberg, large pizza chains, including Domino's, Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, and Papa John's, haven't experienced shortages or price increases as they buy ingredients with long-term contracts. So, I guess for now, you continue to have your shakaroni from Papa John's. But you can do better, girl. Let me tell you right now.
I would rather have a cheese pizza from somewhere else.
Oh man, I'd rather have a lot of things from somewhere else.
Yeah,
than
I
have
mean,
anything
if that's
from
the
Papa
choice,
John's.
like, come on.
I remember the first time I had Papa John's, I was in San Diego because at the time they didn't have them in Chicago.
Yeah.
And Dee and I had gotten. Yeah. Now I know. But Dee and I went there for Comic-Con and like, oh, Papa John's, I've seen them advertised. Let's see what they do. And it's like, I mean, literally, just the disappointment we felt. It just almost ruined the whole fucking day eating Papa John's. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I remember liking it as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like just it was good when I was a kid. I don't know. I won't eat it now. So.
I love the fact too that when I went to Orlando for MegaCon years and years ago, we decided to try to order pizza for room service. And so we called the concierge desk at the hotel or whatever. Like, hey, what's the best pizza you guys got in the area? I kid you not, motherfucker said Pizza Hut. Like, okay.
Super helpful, thank you.
That's the vibe right now. Pizza Hut. That's it.
That sounds accurate, though, given the area.
I guess, yeah. And I mean, it's fair.
No. Let me rephrase that. There are great restaurants in the area. But given the people that maybe would know about them, depends on how cool you are. I will say that. I know a lot of cool people in the area that know of cool places, but...
Not the concierge at the Hyatt Regency.
Right.
The same Hyatt Regency where we found blood on our pillows and never got a solution to why that happened. We just got fresh pillows.
Yeah. Well, you didn't check ahead of time because they gave you a choice between blood or semen. They said you don't pick. Yeah, in the email. It's in the fine print. And if you don't pick, they pick for you.
All right, that's on me. All this time I've been holding that grudge against Hyatt. I apologize.
Not to victim blame, but you had a choice, bud.
Technically,
wrong.
if you were victim blaming, you would be blaming the person that bled on the pillows in the first place. So still,
I think everyone's a victim here, but Okay.
All right.
We've got another Rusnaculous story. It's very exciting.
Okay, I'm ready for this.
The Rainforest Cafe is closed.
No. Yeah. Okay. That tracks.
In Chicago, right?
Yeah. It is. So just to bring a little extra flavor to this story here, I told Dee about this, and she goes, "It was still open."
Listen, that is a very accurate assessment of Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah.
Which was the one in the Baltimore area was my favorite as a kid. Like, that was the coolest place to go to. That was so cool. Like, they had the rainstorms and the giant animals, and then they had the stuffed animals you could get, and it was so fun. And, like, I remember they had, like, chicken nuggets that were shaped like animals and stuff like that. I think was the thing. I loved it. And I'm sure that because, like, Rainforest is a chain, I think. It's like owned by different people. What is that? Franchise. I think it's a franchise.
Yeah.
So this one is being demolished for a high rise, apparently. And that's very sad. They're not all gone, so I guess if you guys are traveling, you can go find another Rainforest Cafe. I probably wouldn't. I'd leave that in your memory bank.
Yeah, because the food
that you want to take.
I mean, I don't know how
don't just take a random kid, but
I don't know how they're cleaning the Rainforest Cafe locations either. I mean, all the fake hanging stuff off the ceiling and walls.
I don't think good.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been so scared of the snakes and stuff that were hanging. I was like, this shit is scary.
There was one in Woodfield Mall, and I can't remember. Woodfield is a suburb of Chicago. I can't remember if they had a pet shop next to it, or if there was like some type of feature built into the Rainforest Cafe close to the gift shop. But I do remember being confronted with a boa constrictor that you could pet. And, I was asked, hey, do you want to pet it? It feels just like a basketball. I'm like, no, I'll go pet a basketball instead. I want nothing to do with that snake. There's food here.
Yes. So, they had like fish and stuff, but I don't remember there ever being live animals other than like the fish tank situation. Yeah. But when I was a little kid, they brought reptiles and stuff into my school, into my elementary school. And they had a giant boa constrictor. And he was yellow. And his name was Banana. And all the other kids were so excited and were like going up and petting Banana. And they were like, Banana's so cool and everything like that. And I was in the corner crying. The teachers were having to console me. And they were like, are you sure you don't want... And I was like, I am scared of this thing. It is a demon. I was like 7 years old or whatever, like losing my shit because of this giant snake named Banana that I still hate to this day and hope is dead. Like, fuck you, Banana, you giant piece of shit.
Yeah.
You terrified me. I hate snakes. I'm sorry if you're a snake person listening to this. I hope that if you have a snake, that it's healthy, but very fucking far away from me. Like, preferably another continent. Because I can't deal with it. I cry. Basically every time I cry.
I cry.
Even as a grown-ass woman, I cry. I don't... No.
So that's a no on the snakes for Lex, guys. When you're coming to live shows, don't bring your pet snakes.
If you bring Lex. A fucking snake, I'll have you kicked out. I will.
On site.
I'm dead fucking serious. I would be like, get security in here, get them the fuck out.
Like, this is a very small theater. We don't have security.
I have a pretty high tolerance for certain things, whatever. I love you guys, but I will kick you the fuck out, and I will not apologize.
You know, during Shine Nerd Fest at Stage 773, you know who was security? Me. I was motherfucking security.
Yeah. And
I was the dude sitting by the door.
$20 to get them the fuck out because we don't want to go near that snake.
Okay. Yep. Just me and John Craig just escorting a gentleman out.
No, I'll pay for your ticket to get you the refund. I'm just like, no, get out. I have really gone off the rails here, but if you can't tell already, I have a deep phobia of snakes.
Yes. It's not just a joke about Bob's Burgers. It's legit. Yeah. But back to Rainforest.
Nightmares about snakes, like covering the floor Indiana Jones style, and I have to get to something like bone or whatever. At least like twice a year, I get that dream.
Oh no! This we shouldn't be talking about this before you go to bed. So okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It probably won't happen now. It'll happen some other time.
Rainforest Cafe. Big ass giant frog on the top of a building staring at you. What's fucked up about this location, in my opinion, is that this area, I guess it used to be a lot more touristy. There was like a sports authority type shop there across the street for a while. They had the Rock and Roll McDonald's, which was just kind of like filled with lots of tchotchke from the 50s and 60s, but even that has been torn down and rebuilt, you know? Like
a Hard Rock, but McDonald's?
Yeah, but they also have a Hard Rock Cafe around there too, which is a little bit more adult. No, this McDonald's was cool.
Hard Rock Cafe is just adult Rainforest Cafe. It's the kids that grew up and they were like, this is cool. They're like, now they're adults. They're like, look at that fucking guitar.
Yeah. Hey, adults, do you like music? Kind of. Come on down to Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, look at that gorilla. Now they're like, look at that fucking guitar.
Remember Chuck Berry? Remember the Beatles? Hard Rock Cafe. Come get some overpriced spaghetti. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have higher end places around there. There's Fogo de Chao is over there, which was, you know, kind of higher end at the time, you know, when they first started up. But yeah, man, get all the fucking stuff you can eat for like $60. That's not bad. A much better solution than Rainforest Cafe.
Right. Like I said, if you have kids, like I would, you know, take my nieces and nephew to Rainforest Cafe in a heartbeat. They'd love that, probably. You know, something like that is fun. That's why you have it. But if you're just like a random adult, I don't think you're going to enjoy that experience as much as you remember enjoying it.
Yeah.
Now, look, I'm not saying I won't pop in and grab a stuffed animal from the the gift shop area. I'm not a monster, but like, beyond that, I don't know.
We have to remember, next time you're in town, we've got to convince Candace Opper to take us to this really cool hotel bar that we went to one time. We did a feature on WGN Radio late one night with Patty Vasquez to promote Shy Nerd Fest. And after, she's like, hey, let's go get a drink. There's this place down the street. And we went and we crashed this wedding party because I guess they had rented out the bar, but we were like, nope, fuck it, we're thirsty.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it was just really late and they were closing up anyway. So we were like, okay, last of the night, we're going to go ahead and get in there. I got some type of drink. I think it was an old fashioned, but with more steps. It was served to me in a treasure chest, like a little tiny treasure chest filled with smoke. And when I opened it up, smoke billowed out, and it's like, here's your drink. It's like, what the fuck? This presentation is too much for me to comprehend.
That cost you like
midnight.
$1 billion.
You know what?
Yeah.
It was worth it. It was delicious, and it gave me a show. I was thoroughly entertained. So we need to go back to this place to recreate this experience for you, because you need to experience this smoky drink from a treasure chest.
But can I get a stuffed gorilla on the way out? Because that's what I really want, especially if I've been drinking. I want that stuffed gorilla.
We can find you a stuffed gorilla.
Okay, well then deal.
We can make that happen.
Okay, good.
Okay, moving right along. Will Smith and Kevin Hart are talking about remaking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
No.
Bad idea. Next.
Terrible idea. The only good thing about that is that the John Candy character, who I'm presuming Kevin Hart is going to play, is supposed to be annoying. So that that fits.
I don't like you. Yeah. I'm not.
You don't like Kevin Hart?
Yeah, you know that.
I fucking agree, bud. The only thing I've ever seen him in that I thought was funny was Jumanji. It was good. Did you ever watch that?
I have. And my streak continues. I've yet to see him in anything I've enjoyed him in.
But you enjoyed Jumanji?
Jumanji was okay. I thought it was decent. I
really liked it.
I think my disdain of Kevin Hart just overshadowed any enjoyment that I'm going to get out of his films. I went to school with a lot of guys that act like him. Like not his comedic stylings, but just like his real life personality. I can't even say, oh yeah, I know how he is. No, just like when you see him in interviews and just little snippets that he does online and whatnot. Just guys that are just oblivious to how they're coming off and just looking down their nose at people all the time. Just that bullshit. Anyway.
Yeah.
No.
He's annoying. I agree. I really enjoyed the Jumanji movies, both of them. If someone else had played his part, though, I would have been fine. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'd have been fine, too, with that.
I thought those were enjoyable. But I'm not about that. I don't really want them to touch any John Hughes movie. I think those movies are, like, they have their flaws and everything like that. Some of them you love, maybe some of them you don't love, but they exist in their time, and I just don't think you should mess with them.
They immediately looted the corpse of Home Alone as soon as the sequel happened. They were like, fuck you, we're making a third one, we're making a fourth one, we're rebooting it, we're going to try to make it a series. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I understand that more because it's definitely a kid's movie.
Yeah.
And a kid's story, but like, I'm talking about the John Hughes movies. So Planes, Trains, and Automobiles being one of those. I don't think you should remake 16 Candles. I don't think you should remake The Breakfast Club. I don't think you should remake those movies. I think they just should exist in that time.
Did they remake Uncle Buck?
No.
I feel like they did, and it just...
Ooh, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I know they remade The Honeymooners, and that was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Oh, no, they didn't remake it. They tried to make it into a television series.
Same diff. Don't do it.
In 2016 on ABC, starring Mike Epps.
What? No. Pass.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep.
So yeah, we spent enough time on that. Let's talk about Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton's an amazing human being who we've discussed previously. She recently made it a point to, put put her support behind the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I think the quote was like, "Of course, Black Lives Matter." She was just like, "Yeah, of course. I'm not even going to debate this."
Right.
Yeah.
And so now, apparently, I don't even know the dude's name, but I saw the guy who does one of the voices on Squidbillies, which, for those that aren't familiar with it, who are the majority of people, it's an Adult Swim show that comes on weeknights at like 9 sometimes, about a hillbilly squid family. One of the guys that voices one of those squids decided to pop off and talk about how Dolly Parton's evil and the sellout and Black Lives Matter is brainwashing us all. Anyway, he got fired. Yeah.
Yeah, Dolly Parton rules and Black Lives Matter. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, and the funny thing too is he fashions himself as a an indie country singer, as a country performer, as someone who performs country music. Why in the fuck would you say something bad about Dolly Parton? Dolly Parton is beloved by all.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. I can't think of anyone who doesn't like Dolly Parton.
That guy.
She is above all genre and she is amazing.
Yep.
You can hate country and love Dolly Parton.
Yep.
She's amazing.
So, yep. Starting to hit movie 9 to 5. Yeah, so there's that.
Great actress. Love her. Love her.
Nothing wrong with it.
Great.
Yep.
Did you ever see that movie that was like all about the love for her? Jennifer Aniston was in it. It's a Netflix movie. God damn, what was that movie called? It was named after one of her songs, and like it all. Oh, damn it.
Our Dolly Parton trivia is falling off here. Heartstrings.
What?
Dolly Parton's Heartstrings.
No.
Right?
No. That's not it.
That was something else.
Something else.
Okay, so Heartstrings.
I'll find it.
Okay.
Heartstrings, what about it?
That was the Netflix series
Dumpling.
that...
I remembered it before I looked it up, guys. Dumpling.
Okay.
That was a good movie. But it was just about love, like loving Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton was in it. It featured her music.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Whereas each episode of this Heartstrings show was about one of her songs.
Ooh, that's cute.
Yeah, starring Julianne Hough, Kathleen Turner, and more.
Yeah. That probably wasn't the reaction I should have had, but...
So, yeah, choices were made with the casting, but Dolly Parton, though, come on.
Well, it went from, okay, to, Hallmark. Cool.
Yeah. You know what? It was catering to that type of crowd, that's fine.
That's fine.
They need something to watch, yeah. So.
Although you should support Lifetime, not Hallmark, guys. Just FYI. Because Hallmark is trying to save their ass right now and be LGBT friendly, but Lifetime is actually diverse both behind the camera and in front of the camera. They're pro LGBT, and former cast members of One Tree Hill have gone to work at Lifetime on numerous films, and they've said that they hire women and they put women in charge.
Shout out to Ravens.
So, Lifetime over Hallmark. Pick them for your Christmas movies. Especially for gay people.
Yes.
Because last year Hallmark had this whole fucking controversy. I'm sure we talked about it on the show. And now they're like, we have 2 gay movies this year. Whatever.
That's double from last year, guys.
These are token queers. All right, we're good.
We're leveling up. Lovecraft Country premiered on HBO. I've watched it. I enjoyed the first episode, but I'd like to give it another episode before we talk about it. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, I watched it. I completely agree. I thought it was super weird. Not that I didn't expect it to be weird. I didn't know anything about it other than Jordan Peele was involved. Correct?
Yeah.
As producer?
Yep.
Yeah.
And J.J. Abrams, yeah.
And J.J. So I like those two. And I liked, I liked it. I don't know what this show is at all. So right. I'm just like, this was weird. And I don't read Lovecraft or anything like that. That's not my jam. So.
Yeah. I want to see what groove the show gets into before discussing it at length. That's my only thing. So we'll put a bookmark
have a new
in that.
show to look forward to every week, kind of thing.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Infinity Train is back. For those that enjoyed the first 2 seasons of Infinity Train on Cartoon Network, it is now exclusive to HBO Max as part of that deal. Infinity Train was a show about like just a train of. It's almost like Snowpiercer, but a little bit more sci-fi.
Yeah.
So, I love the first and second season. It's got great little nods to continuity, but they're all self-contained stories, as far as like the seasons go. So if you're interested, check that out. The first 6 are out, like as a big lump already. Yeah, I guess, we should get in a wall of weird, huh?
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to state before we get people upset, possibly, for this.
Okay.
Putting this in Wall of Weird. I'm half putting this in Wall of Weird because it's an odd story, but I fucking love this story, and I love this dude, and I'm going to give it some background because for me, it's a local story, okay?
Okay.
I'm just going to preface it with that. A man in Florida is accused of living in a soccer stadium for over 2 weeks and taking more than $1,000 worth of merchandise in the process.
Dope. Do that.
A 39-year-old homeless man who was living who was found living in a soccer stadium in St. Petersburg, Florida, was arrested on August 9th. So he was living in this stadium, which is home of the Tampa Bay Rowdies, which is the local soccer team. He's now facing charges of burglary and resisting an officer without violence, which I don't know what the fuck that means.
How do you resist an officer without violence? Just run? Like he ran?
I don't know.
He was giving chase? Okay.
He's been living in the luxury suite where the cleaning crew discovered his belongings, including blankets and shaving cream. A St. Petersburg policewoman told the newspaper. He had been eating food at the venue and wearing Rowdy's clothing. He got into the merchandise store and was wearing a bunch of team merchandise. He made himself quite a home there, is the quote.
Wow.
They're saying it's $1,200 worth of food and merchandise.
Wow.
So here's the thing. St. Pete is horrible to their homeless population. They don't do enough, in my opinion, to help the people in the area. Mm-hmm. So my philosophy with this is fuck them and good for this guy. And I think the Rowdies should just like drop all charges and like give him the merch and be cool with this dude.
Yeah, I agree. It's
honestly,
just break even.
He's smart. Like you're punishing him because he's fucking smart. Like, no. Someone give him a job instead. Like, I'm sure he's got a lot of things he can do and offer. You know what? Give him a job at the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, nothing's going on at the stadium right now. You know, right. Because of the pandemic, nothing's going on at that stadium right now.
Yeah, it's almost as if they could have tents up in the stadium and living for a bunch of people who are homeless.
They build these giant monuments to sports.
Yeah.
That just sit unoccupied for a lot of the time when they could easily be turned over into like a camping ground or something like that.
Well, they're doing voting booths and stuff. That's one thing LeBron James is doing right now that I love. He's building, he's working with these cities. I know he leased it in LA to make these giant stadiums into polling stations for voting.
Yeah. I like LeBron. All his philanthropic work. Yeah, he does a good job.
He's like a good dude.
But yeah, I mean, this guy, and come on, $1,200 worth of merchandise from a sports shop. He got like 2 T-shirts and a pair of shorts, probably.
Exactly. And food. Come on. If there's food sitting there, it's either perishable, like, which it's going to have to be chucked anyway, or it's like chips and shit. Like, come on. I think they're inflating these numbers a bit as far as the food portion is concerned.
Yeah. And I mean, this kind of comes all the way back around to what we were talking about earlier with the looting. It's like, this is out of necessity. This man needs a place to stay. He needs food. He sees a place that's unoccupied for a time. He knows it's going to be unoccupied for a while, you know.
Also, very safe. Like, he was in one of the suites, so he's protecting himself from the weather, and he's by himself. He's social distancing. This guy's smart. I like him. I think he sounds like a good dude.
You know, this world has been so just informed by zombie apocalypse media for the past decade or so. And now that people are in a position where they have to like rummage and fend for themselves in some scenarios, like when I went to go drop off my car at the dealership because the lease was up over the weekend, like the yard behind the dealership was so overgrown. I'm like, this looks like a scene from Last of Us 2. You know, like, oh shit, there's like a can of oil in the corner. I could get that. And yeah, you see, your mind just gets into that headspace. Yeah, just chuck it at something. But yeah, like, they've got us into this mindset with media over the past decade of just, you know, foraging and grabbing stuff to fend for yourself and learning how to survive off the land, even in a post-apocalyptic world. And now they're like, oh shit, no, you can't do what it takes to fend for yourself. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's too much.
That's too much. No, not our fancy t-shirts, please. Don't steal those to clothe yourself.
Yeah, and I kind of feel bad for the cleaning crew that, like, probably were scared of losing their jobs and they have to report it, but they probably were like, whatever. Like,
well, you're right. They probably didn't want to get blamed for it, so they had to do something there. Yeah. I mean, really, like you said before, it's almost like a break even. You know, it's like this man needed somewhere to stay. They're not going to get any money out of him if he's already destitute to the point where he's trying to find a place to lay his head at night. You're not going to get your $1,200 back.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in that area. You can't walk around downtown without encountering multiple homeless people situated. Like, I just don't think they do enough to help, and that's true in a lot of areas. Like, you know, this is just how can we be such a wealthy country and not be helping people on such a basic level, especially when a lot of people have, like, you know, mental health issues and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous that we're not doing what we need to do to make sure people are okay.
So in the middle of all that, they build this giant fuck you monument to Foots and Balls.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to just expect folks that are desperate to be like, no, I'm not going to touch that. No, I'm going to leave that alone. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, you know what? That's someone's property. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. Like Parasite. Like, I completely understand. Like, have you seen the movie Parasite?
I still haven't seen it. No.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about it right now.
Let me just defend myself a little bit. It's subtitles, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure that I'm, like, focused on that movie, and I have not been in a focus mode. So. Yeah. And then I just kind of, like, forget about it and everything. Yeah. I know I'm going to like it. I just haven't watched it yet.
Just get your popcorn and just... Yeah.
I think it's on Hulu. I need to watch it.
It is, yep. That's how I saw it, too.
I've been watching more, like, comedies and casual stuff.
Don't get me started, because you know I will talk about living single for the next half hour and all the wonderful things. Oh, my God. Fun fact.
Yeah.
5 cast members from different world have shown up on that show.
As the characters?
No, just other people
okay.
in the world. Just five actors from a different world have shown up on there. Not Lisa Bonet. Because
Not yet.
At that point she'd already distanced herself from that whole scene. So, yeah. But the guy that played her husband on the Cosby Show showed up as well.
Oh. What was his name?
I don't remember.
He was not Theon. What was
he? Was a Navy guy. Like, he was in the Navy. He was Olivia's dad.
Yeah. I don't remember. I remember that thinking that whole situation was cool, though.
It was, because they kind of had a catch-22. They wanted to bring on Raven-Symoné.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to give... Denise a kid, so they're like, all right, well if she gets married, you know, she's a step kid. It's still like a very, you know, progressive.
Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah. One more fun fact.
Yeah.
You know that the lady on Living Single that plays Maxine Shaw was on the Cosby Show as well as Pam. Mm-hmm. Well, the woman that played her best friend showed up on Living Single as well as her former roommate, Charmaine.
Okay.
All these intricate connections. I love it. I'm sorry. Okay. We're done.
It's okay.
We're done.
It's okay.
That's it. So, yeah, Wall of Weird.
I've only seen a couple episodes of Living Single, so.
It's so good. Okay.
I need to get into it again.
You should.
Or for the first time. Because, like I said, I've only seen, reruns.
We can do a whole half-hour bonus episode of talking about Living Single and how much it's great. Hopefully you enjoy it, because if not, it's going to be a very awkward half hour. All right. Before we go, we want to give a special shout-out to one of our listeners, Pauline. We want to give a special shout-out to Pauline because she saved a bundle of kittens, y'all.
It was so cute. So many kittens.
It was. Yeah. So, yeah, just following her on Instagram and just seeing these little kittens just she found them under her house, is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
And
she's
rescued them and fed them and then gave them to good homes.
Yeah. So, it's just good to know that there are good people in the world. So, shout out to Pauline for being one of those good people. Yeah,
shout out to Pauline. I love that stuff. I love when you care about and you go out of your way to do things like that. Mm-hmm. And then, I know one of the things she said was just I got to make sure you get the cats fixed or whatever to whoever the home they go to. I'm like, yes. So responsible. I love it. I'm a dork, but I'm I love it. It's great. It's nice to see people care and be responsible. So
yeah, it truly is. So, much respect.
Yes.
Much respect to Pauline for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, much respect to you for making it through this episode. We appreciate you listening, and we hope that you come back for more on the next episode. We've got a lot of things that we've been talking about behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Some things we're very excited about that are going to be taking place for the rest of the year. So keep your eye out and your ears open for all of that. It's going to be so much fun. Get ready.
We got lots of cool stuff coming.
Lots of cool stuff. So yeah, keep an eye on our social media platforms, or your social media platforms at Lex and Matt across the board. Check out our Patreon. We've got a lot of great stuff going on there. Bonus episodes, patron stuff, merch. Yeah. But yeah, lots of good stuff.
And then subscribe to us. Give us a rating. Mm-hmm. That always helps. Helps us on the Apple Podcasts. That's the big one. We need those. We need those reviews.
We do. Rate our show and rate the next show you listen to as well.
Yeah. If you like a podcast, giving them a rating really helps.
It does.
You don't have to go give Mark Maron a rating. He's that type of podcast, they're usually okay. But, try to listen to smaller podcasts, middle ground podcasts, and give them ratings and subscribe to them if you enjoy them. It really helps. And share with your friends.
Shows like Turtle Soup, shows like Ravens, shows like Be Your Scary Best,
all these.
All the good ones. Check them out.
All our friends.
Yeah.
That was fun. We laughed a lot this episode. I'm glad we had so many times.
Yeah. It's always refreshing. All right, folks. We hope you enjoyed yourselves as well. As always, I'm Matt Peters.
And I'm Lex Lutz. Be excellent to each other, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.